Spider-Man Far From Home, the follow-up to Avengers Endgame, has finally been released, and oh boy is it one hell of a good time. It's everything we could have hoped to see from a Spider-Man sequel, and now Peter Parker is really learning the meaning of great power means great responsibility. If you've seen the movie and you have questions about what its ending means for the future of the franchise and the grander implications it may have, you've come to the right place. Here's our breakdown of the Spider-Man Far From Home ending explained. Also, it's kind of a given, but major spoilers in this video. You've been warned. Let's briefly break down what happened in the movie. Peter and his friends went on a trip to Europe, which is interrupted by Nick Fury, who needs Peter to help out with a threat called the Elementals. Creatures from Earth 833, the home that a new hero called Mysterio, a dude named Quentin Beck, claims he's from. He says he's followed them here, and they destroyed his world and killed his loved ones, and he's here to stop them from becoming a bigger threat. Spider-Man inherits Tony Stark's glasses and an advanced AR program that comes with them called Edith, which stands for Even Dead, I'm the Hero. Cheeky and typical Tony. It's eventually revealed after Peter, feeling guilt-ridden and not ready to take on this new responsibility of stepping into Stark's shoes, gives Mysterio the glasses and Edith that Quentin Beck isn't what he seems. He is an illusionist, like in the comics but with a twist. He's a tech mastermind, and he created Barf. He's teamed up with other disgruntled workers who worked for Stark and disliked him to steal his tech and change the world in a way that they want it to appear. Now that the Avengers are gone, Peter finds out about this and with a little help from MJ goes after him, with the two duking it out twice, and Peter eventually saving the day, with Mysterio dying in the process after trying to shoot Peter in the head. Peter gets the glasses and Edith back, MJ now knows his identity, they share an adorably awkward kiss, and he returns to New York. While all of that is really straightforward, there are a few things to explain here. Fury earlier on in the film explains that other heroes are unavailable. He says that Thor is off planet, Doctor Strange is unavailable, and he grills Peter for even evoking the name Captain Marvel. While we have a good idea as to what Thor has been up to, having flown off with the Guardians of the Galaxy at the end of Endgame, it's still puzzling as to what Doctor Strange is up to, and more importantly, for the future of the Avengers, what Captain Marvel might have her hands full with. We also know that Peter now has a whole lot of access to technology made by Tony Stark, and the film, which largely parallels his coming into massive responsibilities and stepping up with Tony's own journey in his feature films from 10 years ago, will also likely result in Peter filling in Iron Man's role in the upcoming phases of the MCU. Speaking of, let's get to the real big questions Far From Home threw our way. Perhaps the biggest revelations of the film came in the form of the post-credit scenes, as they usually do in Marvel solo features. Let's start with the first one. It begins right where the film left off before the first chunk of credits, with Peter putting MJ down and about to web-sling off elsewhere, when he stops to notice a large screen playing some breaking news. In this breaking news, we learn that Mysterio is the gift that keeps on giving. After he died, we saw a shot of William Ginter Riva, the scientist who used to work for Tony Stark and was recruited by Quentin Beck, downloading data onto a USB key after the villain's defeat. That's likely where this cut-up footage comes from. Running with the fake news motif that appears all throughout Far From Home, we see footage from a drone's perspective of Spider-Man standing over what appears to be a dying Quentin Beck. It's the illusion that Beck cast of himself on the ground, and his audio has been manipulated to make him appear as if he was the one orchestrating all of these attacks and that he murdered Beck. It only gets more intense from there. It's revealed that the source of the news break is the Daily Bugle, which is depicted more so as an InfoWars-style publisher rather than a newspaper. And guess who is back? J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Really the only actor who could play him if we're being honest, denouncing Spider-Man in a fashion not dissimilar to how the character acted in the recent PS4 Spider-Man game with his adaptation. Now the video ends with Jameson blowing us away, revealing Spider-Man's identity. Yes, he says it. Peter Parker. The scene cuts on a shocked Spider-Man. So what does this mean? Well, for starters, it looks like the MCU may be leaning into playing more with the fake news motifs, and the way the public perceive the new Avengers or remaining superheroes may be tainted for a while, making it hard for a new iteration of Avengers to gain public trust. It also acted as a way of paralleling Spider-Man's new responsibility with the responsibility that Tony Stark had fallen to his shoulders with his announcement that he was Iron Man. But there is a big difference there. Peter is only 16. How he handles this is really going to define the future of the MCU, especially with Far From Home setting him up to be the new leader of sorts. It also means something else really cool. Seeing J.K. Simmons return speaks volumes about the MCU being open to returning cast members who fit the roles of certain characters perfectly. Looking at you, Ryan Reynolds. Not to say that we should expect other familiar faces to pop back into the MCU, but it is nice knowing that Marvel Studios is open to the idea of having cast members who feel like the perfect choice reprising their roles. I mean, let's be real, could anyone else have been a better J. Jonah Jameson? No way, friends. No way. Let's move on to the second post-credit scene now. It opens with Maria Hill and Nick Fury driving. Then, to our surprise, we see the two of them turn into two familiar green faces. Talos and Soren, who then call Fury to give them the lowdown on what happened during the film. You'll remember them from the Captain Marvel movie. Talos being the main Skrull that they encounter and Soren being his wife. After Talos sends out the video, we see Fury in space watching it, using what looks a whole lot like Project Tahiti, which appeared in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. television show. Fury gets up from his little vacay illusion and ventures throughout a massive spaceship filled with Skrulls, with the ship being somewhere in outer space. This raises a lot of questions. For starters, is S.H.I.E.L.D. becoming SWORD, the offshoot of the organization that protects Earth from extraterrestrial threats? And what exactly is Fury doing up there? Secondly, seeing Talos explains an Easter egg that many had questions about from Avengers Endgame. In that movie, at the end of the film, when Peter returns to his high school and is reunited with his classmates, you can spot actor Ben Mendelsohn, who played Talos, in the background. As a human, of course, greeting students. Now, many believe that this perhaps hinted to the Secret Invasion storyline, a highly theorized story arc in the comics in which the shape-shifting Skrulls replace heroes on Earth to invade the planet. It seems that the Skrulls really are good guys after all, though, and that they're siding with humans and Fury, all thanks to the events of Captain Marvel, where Fury and Carol Danvers teamed up to save the race from the Kree's genocide attempts. So this definitely means that we very likely are not getting Secret Invasion, leaving the narrative arc of the Phase 4 and 5 of the MCU still a complete mystery. But if this scene tells us anything, we can expect more threats from outer space, and perhaps that may mean the next big bad could be the Kree, or someone of grander proportions. Should we say galactic proportions? Get it? Because Galactus, because he's like big and regardless, this confirms what Marvel Studios had already been hinting to, that the cosmic branch of the MCU is something that we're only getting started with, and should expect to see a whole lot more of in the future of the franchise. Alright, so what could all of this mean in the grand scale of things? Well, we know that Peter now has been thrust into a position that mirrors Stark's after the first Iron Man movie. Now that his identity is out in the open, it seems he doesn't have much of a choice when it comes to now being a full-time hero. This seems to open the door for the beginning of a new iteration of Avengers, but whether or not Spidey will be their leader is questionable when you've got some of the likes of Captain Marvel kicking around the universe. Now, it's very likely that those two will end up stepping in the roles of Iron Man and Captain America, spearheading the team. But let's not forget the events of Spider-Man Homecoming. Remember Adrian Toomes? Remember how him and Matt Gargan are in prison together? We saw that in the post-credit scenes. Remember how Matt Gargan wants Spidey dead? Now, it wouldn't be too surprising after the events of this movie if the third Spider-Man film finally dealt with a question that many of us have been asking. When are we getting the Sinister Six? Could Spider-Man, now being a hero who has been framed as a villain, be targeted by the uprising of a group of villains such as this? Who knows, but hey, I'd bet on it. Alright, there we have it, friends. What are your theories concerning the future of the MCU? Did you love Spider-Man Far From Home? And what do you think will happen now to Peter that his identity has been revealed? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know your thoughts. Also, be sure to check out our Spider-Man Far From Home Easter egg video on our channel. You should actually head on over there and subscribe. We've got a lot of great MCU and comic videos in general that you guys will probably dig. And hey, before you go, why not hit that like button and spread the love? In the meantime though, thanks for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next video.